education advocate, and prior to her stint in government, she served as the Associate Dean of the San Sebastian College of Law. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Is it working already? It's really so hard to speak because I'm only given 10 minutes and try to put it all in 10 minutes what took humans decades and hundreds of years to actually create. But I'll try my best today. And of course, it's always difficult to speak after Maria Ressa. So I don't know why I was placed after her. I'll try. So I was asked to speak about global warming and climate change. I know this is a ground where most of you already probably know what this issue is all about. But let's put it in a different perspective so that we'll probably more understand this a bit more. And the reason why I have the authority to speak before you today, there is a Climate Change Commission. It is a government agency. Our chair is the president himself. This was created in 2009 after Ondoy and Pepeng. And in that same year, they signed the law that created the commission. I was Undersecretary of Department of Environment and Natural Resources. And because they can't find anyone, because I was only one of the few at the DNR who was crazy enough to talk about climate change, they couldn't find anyone among government to appoint in the Climate Change Commission, so here I am. They also made me Executive Director of the Climate Change Secretariat to save on cost. So, Consuelo, they gave me a rank of Secretary, so they now call me Secretary Lucille. So if my slides are ready, where is it? Oh, what is global warming? That is not caused by that blower. When I took this job, one of the reasons why I was so passionate at this topic is Maria Ressa mentioned about my experience. I don't call myself a victim, but more of a survivor. In 1984, in Surigao del Norte, I'm from Mindanao, by the way, we experienced the worst typhoon ever, at least in our part of the country, called Typhoon Nitang. Until now, it's considered as the costliest and most destructive typhoon with over 1,000 people dead. And at that time as well, at an early age, I was wondering, why is this happening? Can this happen again? Can we stop this altogether? But now, I'm already like 5 years older, or 10 years older, 50 years older. I'm now here talking about this topic. But when I looked around, other than me, who's a lawyer, who's not even a scientist, what am I doing in a Climate Change Commission? I was looking around for someone who could speak, who's more popular than Al Gore. Definitely this person, I don't know if you call it a person, is more popular than Al Gore. So please give us a few minutes to listen to what he has to say about global warming.
I'm off to work at the Krusty Krab, frying up patties and blabbity blab. Huh? That's new. Strange place to park a car. What's this for?
SpongeBob! You're wasting me precious carbon dioxide!
Carbon dioxide?
I'm pumping it into the atmosphere, boy! Thanks to global warming, the temperature will soon go through the roof, and then we'll have an endless summer.
Why do you want an endless summer, Mr. Krabs?
So I can open my latest money-making venture, the Krusty Pool!
But what about winter sports, Mr. Krabs?
Ah, forget winter, boy. We're talking suntanning, hanging tan, and swimming all year long!
The endless summer does sound fun.
And profitable?
Fun and profitable! Big business does it again! I just wish it could be the endless summer right now. Hey!
Oh, umbrellas are $3, sir. Oh, what a bargain. I'll give you 5. What the? Barnacles, it suddenly got very warm in here. Who turned up the heat? SpongeBob, what are you doing?
Just throwing another tire on the fire for global warming, Mr. Krabs. Hey, look! It's working! The
Do you mean pay off? Hurry, SpongeBob! Fill the pool! Fill the pool!
Aye, sir.
Have your money ready, folks. The line starts here. Where's everybody going?
We're all moving north. We can't live here anymore. It's too hot.
Only customers have moved to cooler climates.
Look on the bright side, Mr. Krabs. There won't be a line to go in the pool.
So I hope you got that. You know, we've been talking about this issue since the early 90s, and we're still talking until now. And every year, the global community has grown in terms of numbers of negotiators, and the more numbers you have, the more difficult it is to have a consensus. That's why we couldn't get to agree on what to do yearly. So it's always incremental agreements. But if you look at the United Nations Framework Convention of Climate Change, after SpongeBob, I think I got more of attention using SpongeBob than using this slide. This is actually the legal terminology or definition of what climate change is all about. It says that it is attributed directly or indirectly to human activities, and, of course, in addition to natural climate variability. This is very technical. This is the definition where the Republicans and the Democrats don't agree. Because if you look at attributing it directly to human activities, you're now starting to pinpoint what are those. So when SpongeBob said fun and profitable, big business does it again, discussion of climate change really in a global community is not about losing lives. It's really about the economy. What sector of my industry will be hit if I, the US, China, or Brazil will commit to reduce a number in terms of reduction of greenhouse gas? Obviously, the Saudis, the Arabs, they're saying, well, if you're going to go green, you have to pay us for compensation. We're going to lose revenue on our oil. So ganyan po. That's how we've been discussing in the UNFCCC. That's why because we belong to different perspectives, you don't expect the Africans to go vegetarian. So this is where this definition, although signed, agreed upon by everybody, the agreements that went after that continues to be debated until now. So, if just in case you were absent when this was actually explained in school, what SpongeBob and the carbon dioxide just simply mean is that we are actually given natural warming, tropical weather, the best. But because of these greenhouse gases, because of this carbon dioxide, and because of Mr. Crab putting a lot of this in the air to earn more money, this effect has now actually didn't allow, most of the sun that are unable to go out of the atmosphere. This is global warming. This increase in temperature is causing climate to change. It is already unequivocal, and most mainstream scientists already agree that greenhouse gases in the atmosphere is trapping more heat. That's why we are seeing a lot of changes in our weather. The Philippines' change in mean temperature is about 0.57. Wow. But you see the global temperature is 0.8. The reason why we're 0.57, don't be happy yet, because we started observing our temperature in the 1950s. The global temperature, they started observing it in the 1800s, late 1800s. According to the IPCC in one scenario, A1B, which is worst case, and A2 is best case, it says that either way, with the way we're doing right now, our temperature will continue to increase, even under the best case scenario. So we are in deep blip, 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 blip. So, knowing 0.57, 0.8 degrees, what does it mean? How is it translated? For someone like us, a lawyer like me, the reason why I took up law, because I'm bad with numbers, how do you really translate that into something more understandable? This is the reason that Al Gore became popular. He didn't do this, but he was an advocate and a champion. He won the Nobel Peace Prize by simply going around, not showing off SpongeBob, but a frog. I don't know if you've seen The Inconvenient Truth. So here, according to the scientist, the IPCC said that if we are going to reach 1 degree, we will now see an impact cross-sectorally. Our food, our water, our ecosystems, and extreme weather event. And that if we hit 2 degrees, this is actually a point of no return. So if you read in Rappler the discussion of trying to reduce degrees by 1 degree, 1.5, that's what it means. We don't want to reach 2 degrees if it's still possible. So going through this graph, I'm with stupid, and what do we do? There's actually 2 things that the global community has decided to do, 2 approaches to address climate change. One is adaptation. To simply put, there are some things we can no longer change, hence we need to manage the unavoidable. And what are those? Planning, and then other one is mitigation, which simply means reduction of greenhouse gas, reducing your carbon footprint, going towards green economy, sustainable development. It really just means this. And those are the things that we do. We plan proactively, unlike in the Philippines, we plan based on yesterday. So that's why we see every year the continuous increase in damages, in rehabilitation and recovery, because we have not yet planned based on our risk. And of course, and mitigation, planting trees, it's not the only way. There are other ways, collecting the trash, doing recycling, and then pagdating ng basurero, ipaghahalo-halo rin pala. So, there's nothing I can do about it right now. But I'm complaining out loud. Of course, we would like to do this, but you don't want to go to the office all sweaty, right? But it's up there as one of our strategy and technology. We don't mean that we have to go under the dark to do all these things. We're looking for alternatives to do this. In fact, for me, climate change is about opportunity. Right now, though, most of the technology that are made available are still imported. But we wanted to show that climate change can provide more jobs by doing the green manufacturing. We have natural resources, we have the skills, we can do it here. And we just need to harness that. That's why we're working with all agencies of government to take this opportunity into action. But if we are to compare actually to the rest of the world, where the Philippines is in terms of emission, boom, 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 of course, compared to China and the US, we're nowhere near the number. But here you can see China is actually the blue one. And this is not the big data that Maria Reza is talking about. This is a greenhouse gas inventory only on carbon dioxide. And the US is actually lower, because this was taken during the time when the US suffered their economic crisis. This shows you that the higher the growth in the economy, the higher the emission. And we've seen that also in our own inventory. In fact, we have 2 inventories already. On our second inventory, energy remains to be one of the highest emitter, but waste has increased almost 63% from our first inventory to the second, showing that our consuming public that is driving our economic growth is also emitting a lot of emission because of waste. So that's why I hate this basurero if you don't take this to heart about we're trying to do our recycling and they don't do it properly. But in the Philippines, if you look at their inventory, our energy agriculture is next to our energy, because now we're seeing actually a lot of coal power plants rising. Previous to that, the Philippines, we take pride that 50% of our energy mix is renewable. Hydropower, we are the second highest in the world next to the United States, one of the highest potential in solar, the first wind energy ever built in Southeast Asia, and yet somehow we're moving down. Because we're still looking at cost, so that's why we're seeing a lot of coal-powered plants being built. So if you look at this, of course, the Philippines, the reason why we're vulnerable, because of our location. We're visited by 19 to 20 typhoons every year. Well, there's a bit of good news on climate change. A bit of good news. Mababawasan po na isang bagyo, maaari ang pagdating ng climate change, but mag-i-increase naman po ang intensity ng bagyo. So, what are we doing? What did we do in 2009? We created the law. Thanks to Senator Lauren Regardo, who championed this in the Senate. We have a first national climate change action plan. You know, when I took in the job, my budget was only 15 million pesos. On the next year, it was 30 million. Di nga ako makakasuhan ng plunder. But what do you do in a very small budget? You don't complain. I'm just glad that I guess because of the high credibility rating of the president, we're able to knock on doors like UNDP, Australian Aid, and other bilateral partners. And I took that opportunity to use what little budget that I have to leverage for more support. And this, because of this, I was able to do things actually faster because I don't go through the very long bidding process of government. So in just 1 year, I showed some results, and this is what I want to show you today. This is a National Climate Change Action Plan. By the way, NEDA is still our Economic Development Authority, but they plan based on sector. Sometimes the tendency is you favor agriculture sector and then you neglect the other sectors. So now we know that climate change is cross-sectoral. We took the opportunity and used it as thematic. We're looking at food security, wherein there should be a convergence of national agencies involved in water, like DPWH, DNR, and DA. So this is how your National Climate Change Action Plan is structured. So, because of Facebook, I learned about Farmville. I said, this is my vision. You don't expect to involve or engage local government and make it so boring. Most of them are not elected based on competence, on science, by the way. I don't mean it in a bad way, please. I know this is recorded. That's why we have to go down that level and help them. Because all of them are really excited what to do. But for me, growing up in a province, I don't want to live here in Manila. Traffic is just so bad, I want to go home. We have a beachfront down there, still clean. Surfing, by the way, this week, I'm announcing it, Siargao surfing, I'm from there. If the ocean is your backyard, surfing is your sport. We love typhoons. You know why? When the stronger the wind, the higher the waves. So this is what we said. I went down to national agency, saying, you know, this is my vision, an eco-town, ecologically stable and economically resilient. What do we mean by this? The reason the Philippines is vulnerable is because of our urban cities, of rural and urban migration. We're visited by 19 typhoons. There's a strong rural-urban migration. You're putting more people at risk. And third, our infrastructure remains weak. The more cars you have, we have so many cars now, and our roads remain to be the same. Babawasan pa na mga makukulit na mga motorista. So what they said, okay, national agency, can we converge, at least in one town? And I presented this to the president. I said, sir, one of the problems, the reason that I've encountered is I cannot make plans and programs unless I'm assessing my vulnerability. All our plans in government don't have that assessment. And then he said, can you do it in a year? Yes, sir. Let me pick the area. Go ahead. So I pick an area where I'm from, Siargao, of course. I'm just happy that the governor happens to be a first cousin also. So I'm not trying to favor, but more because I need to show some results right away in 1 year. And I pleaded and I cried to my cousin to allow me to do this in a year. And so she did. She writes the mayor, cast them absent pag hindi dumadating sa workshop, take projects out from them if they don't attend the workshop. So that's what we did. We did vulnerability assessment. We tried to determine natural resources, and then after that, we identified programs of that town on what they need to do because we don't want another Boracay in Siargao, and this is what we discovered. Because of this convergence, this is where the National Greening Program of DNR comes in, identifying where they should be planting. The Department of Agriculture, where their irrigation should be placed. The food security aspect. And of course, the Department of Agriculture, Bureau of Fisheries and Agriculture, Bureau of Fisheries will now help us on mangrove planting. Next would be enhancement of genetic resources. Do you know that we cannot use the ilang-ilang anymore? Because it's already patented by YSL. No, we are losing billions of dollars because we don't know that we have these resources. And other people are using it. Did you know that there's a blood of indigenous people that now patented for because they're resilient to high blood? It's already patented, it's now there's a case filed. But if you can't have this and have not access to this and you have high blood, you might as well just marry one indigenous people. It might work. And renewable energy from wind, solar, and hydro. After we finish in a year in a rural area, they discovered they have high electricity costs, difficult to compete with the mainland products because of transportation costs being too high. They learned after this assessment that they can actually provide their own electricity, and even more, and provide electricity to the mainland. Now the next step for us to do an investors forum, and we're just happy to say that one big company, EDC, have already set a wind monitoring system to determine really the potential of wind power in the area. In just 1 year we did this with 50 million budget. And of course, ecotourism, the plane arrives, oops, sorry. But anyway, the logic there is, we have a zip line, and there's a crocodile in the middle that brings in more adventure. Lolong is not the biggest crocodile caught. It came from Surigao. They brought it to Palawan, but we made sure it's called Suriganensis. And here we are. There's a diving guy, gone, probably eaten by a white shark, we don't know, but that's the whole idea. What is, okay, I'm sorry. This is the map that, I think you'd read it in Rappler if you go through Rappler. This is the actual map of, it's too anticlimactic. They're not supposed to show it right away. I was supposed to say something nice and then bring you the big boom. This is urban CDO. We wanted to have a rural strategy and an urban strategy to reduce urban migration. We have to provide jobs in the countryside because in the area like Siargao, the education system provides about, almost all of them, if not all, actually offers IT. They study IT with one computer every 80 student. And then criminology, where the crime of passion is the only recorded crime. Pagtapos na ang gera, nagkakalimutan na. So they're preparing their students to leave. And where do they go? In the urban area, looking for jobs, and if they don't have relatives, where do they go? Tabing ilog. So what we wanted to show here is that right after Sendong, being from Mindanao, I cannot go there and look at the pictures. I just can't. And I had to admit, I didn't even put relief packs. I said, this has to stop somehow. I went through this already, still very fresh. So I knocked on Toshi's door, UNDP, and USAID in just a few weeks gave us money. And we finished this in just 6 months. What government normally would do would finish in years. This is an actual map of CDO where we factor in climate future scenarios on rainfall. We wanted to plan based on a risk. We showed this to a mayor, I will not mention who. Oh, maybe you know already, right? He said, oh, can you not show it yet? I have an investors forum this year. Said, sir, maybe you should look at this carefully. I showed this to the congressman. I showed it to Secretary Sing Song. I've been going around with this map, scaring the bureaucracy and said, this will give us an idea on where we should spend our money. Unlike before, wherever you put there and then it goes to Napoles, I could probably get money from Napoles. I probably get more budget from Napoles. But nonetheless, it is not a negative or it doesn't discourage me even if my budget is very slow or very low, because there are people like Rappler, UNDP, OS8 are willing to help. But at one point, there will be a drain and even a donor's fatigue. So we wanted to scale this up because it shows us for the first time, this is the first map that was ever created on this, that factors in 2020, year 2050 rainfall scenario. We'll do this also in Iligan, Tugigaraw, and Iloilo after Typhoon Frank in 2008. Ngayon lang sila magkakaroon nan. And Pablo, they're interested more in wind velocity because their question, kailangan pa ba namin magtanim ng banana kung ganun ulit kalakas ang hangin? So, I just wanted to leave you with this slide because this afternoon you will see me again. I hope I won't be overexposed. And then we will discuss the project that Maria Ressa wanted to make, and then I will be presenting it together with Voltaire. I hope I didn't scare you, but I just wanted to let you know that there's really hope for our country. Magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, Secretary Lucille and the Siargao Department of Tourism.